Hello ladies, Sian Burton here, your marketing and scaling expert for women private practice owners. Sorry, excuse me. Today we're going to be talking about marketing being an act of service and not an act of annoyance, or something that is salesy or pushy, or that generally fills you with a feeling of wanting to vomit, let's say. So this is something I'm really passionate about as both a marketeer. This is what I've spent my entire life and career learning, how to make marketing be authentic and real and genuine and not something that is there to sell people things that they don't need. Whilst I know that many marketeers do that, that's not my approach or philosophy around it. But also as a neurodiverse woman who has ADHD and is constantly looking for my own therapists, and the mother of a daughter who has autism and ADHD. And again, we are constantly trying to find therapists to support her that are the right fit for her, that understand her challenges, and that we can trust is going to work, it has its best chance as possible of working from the beginning. Because as those of you know who have the same family circumstances, there's nothing worse than persuading your child to go and see a therapist, going through that transition of them seeing someone new, only to discover that that new person is not going to be a right fit. There's only so many times you can do that with your child before they start refusing to go and see new therapists. So I truly believe that when you market your practice authentically and in the way that we teach people to in Success Without Sacrifice through our abundant referrals marketing system, it becomes an act of service to that person instead of it being something used to get them to do something you want them to do that isn't necessarily in their interest. So when I say that I see it as an act of service, what I mean by that is that, and you will all have experienced this in one way or another, if I'm trying to look for, I will use this example. When I was trying to find a psychologist not long after being diagnosed with ADHD, I must have looked at 25 different psychologist websites who all sounded the same, who all talked about their experience and qualifications and listed out 25 different things that they could work with people on. Autism, ADHD, PTSD, depression, anxiety, relationship issues, eating disorders, bipolar disorder, like you name it. It was like a checklist of every possible condition that I might be presenting with in order to try and scoop up everybody who might be visiting the website. But let me tell you what happens when you do that. You literally serve nobody, because every single one of those psychologists sounded the same. I had no way to tell the difference between any of them. And I had no way to understand that person understood me. Because how can you know lots about all these different things and know a lot about them well, right? We all say this about doctors, like the family doctor, our GP. They're known for knowing a little about a lot of things and a lot about nothing. That's what you look like when you talk about all these different things and you talk about your experiences and your qualification. What it did was it made it almost impossible for me to find someone that I felt confident in sharing my whole life story with again as a psychologist. And that time wasn't going to be wasted 2, 3, 4 weeks down the track when I realized that actually they weren't super across ADHD and trauma in order to be able to help me. That is until I came across my current psychologist's website. And she came through one of my accelerators. That's how I came across her. And when I landed on her website, I immediately knew that she was the person I wanted to work with. I didn't have to read about her qualifications or experience or how many therapists she had working for her. I simply had to read her homepage, which said, "We know ADHD inside out and back to front. We know that right now you are dealing with the process of being diagnosed as an adult and everything that comes with that, including the grief of wondering what things might have been like had you been diagnosed earlier, and the not knowing of how this is going to affect things moving forward. We know that you want to be able to have better executive functioning, navigate your relationships better, do better in your working life, achieve your goals, and do so without the overwhelm that you currently are experiencing. At Practice Name, this is what we do. And it then explained how they work with people. And I was already sold by that point, right? Like to land on a website and to feel seen and heard, and to immediately know that the person who wrote this website really understands where I was at and what I need and what I'm scared of, what I was worried about, meant that I didn't look at any more websites after that, because I knew that I'd found someone who understood me and that could help. And it saved me any more searching. It saved me going to clinicians who weren't the right fit but wanted to try and be everything to everybody to get clients. It saved me having to share my entire life story with someone, only to realize a couple of months later that they weren't able to help me, or they didn't understand me, or they weren't super interested in understanding me because actually they had other interest areas. I got to have the best clinician for me first time around because I was able to identify that she was the right fit for me. That's what I mean by marketing being an active service. When you learn to market yourself or your team around their areas of specialism or interest, or just the people they love to work with, when people see that, they immediately know you're the right person for me. You understand where I'm at, you understand what I need, you understand my challenges. I don't need to go and read 25 other websites. I found the person who gets me. I feel seen, I feel heard. I don't have to go through this process of trial and error to find my right therapist. Now, of course, there are going to be times where personality-wise, it still just isn't the right fit, but that's going to happen way less when you already have ticked the boxes that this person understands what it is you're trying to treat or work with or improve yourself in an area. Same goes for children, same goes for any other area that we're going to be trying to find therapists in. So instead of seeing marketing as this thing you do to people to try and get them to give you money, because that doesn't feel good, right? And I totally understand that through that lens, marketing feels yucky. It feels like we're trying to, I call it the referral shakedown. We're trying to get referrals into our practice and we will do anything we need to make that happen. That doesn't feel good, but that's also not marketing. When I teach people marketing, and in our abundant referral system that we teach in Success Without Sacrifice, what we work on is how you can create emotional connection between you and people who could be your clients, so that they know they're in the right place and they know you're the therapist for them. When those things happen, reaching out and booking a session in with you or your team becomes a no-brainer. Like, there isn't any comparison, there isn't any competition. Even if the person down the road is seeing the same kind of clients, like if you're talking in that way on your website and they're talking about their experience and their qualifications and all those things, there is no competition between the two of you, because we are emotional beings who buy on emotion and back up with logic. So sure, tell me that you have a master's qualification in psychology, and tell me that you've been doing this for 10 years, and tell me that you've done postgraduate study, because I do want to read that stuff later on. But ultimately, until you've made an emotional connection with me as a prospective client, I'm going to be shopping on price, and that's about it. And that's a really sorry state of affairs, because therapists are not commodities. You are highly qualified, highly passionate, invested people who want the best for your clients and want to have an impact in the world. But unless you use marketing to tell people that and to help them see that you see them and you know as much as you can about where they're at, and that you're really there with them to support them, then people are just going to continuously be trying to find the right person through trial and error. And ultimately, what we do when we can't make a connection with anybody, the two things I do, I buy on price, so who is the cheapest? And I say people buy on price. I don't tend to buy on price because I know that isn't smart, but other people will. What I tend to do for my daughter is I will look through the faces and I will decide who looks like a therapist that she's probably going to like the look of, which is awful and massively you spent all this money on postgraduate training and all these other things thinking they make you seem more appealing. In actual fact, it's whether you look friendly and approachable that ends up being the reason that people reach out to you if there's nothing else for them to base it on. So instead of it being about that, and instead of it being about price, let's focus on using marketing as an active service to people who are looking for therapists and a way to help them navigate the multitude of options there are when it comes to therapists, and trying to figure out who is the person who actually understands them and is going to be able to make a difference. And I know that it's scary to do this because if, in theory, the theory is very flawed, but in theory, you would think that if you talk to more people, you're going to have more chance of getting clients. But in actual fact, the exact opposite is true. And I hope that that is what you have taken from this video, that actually being very specific about the types of clients you are wanting to work with is far more powerful than trying to scoop up everybody that lands on your website, because then you just fall into the same bucket as everybody else. Now, if this has been helpful and has resonated for you and you're like, oh, not thought about it like that, and I would love to learn a way to market that feels more like an active service and that I'm excited to do, and that my team are excited to do, and that feels authentic and aligned with our values. If you have a team and you're looking to fill them, then please book in a call. We will put the link in the comments, our Feminine Way to Scale consultation, and we can have a chat with you and see where you're at and see if you might be a good fit for the process in our program. And we can then look at how we might support you to implement this approach to marketing that is tried and tested and feels good. I think that's the most important thing. Like, it feels good and authentic to market in this way, as opposed to doing things that you're seeing other people tell you should do, like posting on Facebook or writing content for Facebook or running ads or whatever it might be, going to networking events and selling yourself. Oh my goodness. Instead of having to do those things, you can just focus on building genuine relationships where you ensure that the people who need your services know that you're there and know that you understand them and see them and have their back. Because if people know that, then they're going to come to you as their therapist or come to your team as their therapist, because that's all we want as human beings. We just want to feel seen and heard and supported. So if you have comments, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Did it resonate? Is this something that you're like, oh, I really had not thought about it like that? Let me know in the comments, and we will pop the link for you to book a call if you have a team and you would like to know more about how you can implement this in your practice.